Hello dear students of the Genius School. Today we will going to study the fourth chapter of ID, Human Capital Formation in the India. So guys, with the point of view of the marks, this chapter is very much important. With that, this chapter has the good weightage of the mark. With that, this chapter has the easy content also to prepare. Actually, human capital formation. You people are already studying a similar type of the words in the BSc, like humans are the resource. Okay, so this is completely based on that type of the basic idea. So actually, in the modern era, in the modern time, in the 21st century, humans are started considering as a resource. Before that, humans were not considered as a resource. You guys are studying this all the things in BSc. But yes, humans are the real resource, not for the industrial or agricultural development only, but humans are the real resource for the country's development also. In this chapter, we will going to study that what is human capital formation is exactly. See, if humans are resources, we have seen that many assets are considered as the resource. Assets are the resource because they are useful for the production activity. Okay, they raise the production, they raise the income, they raise the GDP. This why assets are considered as the resource. The same way, humans are also resource because by their physical, by their mental, by their skill, by their educational, this all abilities which is there inside of them. Because of this all abilities, country is able to cope up with the whole situation. Country is able to raise the production, whether it is agriculture or industry. Country is able to find the new fundamentals, find a new advancement into the service sector. That can be only possible by the human brains only. And for that, human resource development or the human capital formation is a necessary tool for the country. See, surrounding us, there are two types of the capitals: physical capitals and the human capital. Physical capital, we all knows it very well that whatever the physical assets which are useful for the production activities, those assets, those technologies, those equipments are known as physical capital. The same way, those physical capital is being used by whom? Is being used by the human beings. It has been manufactured or it has been made by whom? It has been made by the humans. So humans who are making the machines, who are running the machines, who are controlling the machine, that is human capital. So physical and the human capital both are required, but yes, we must have to say that physical capital, the way you start using the physical capital, it comes to its depreciation. But the way you start using the human capital, it increases the knowledge, it increases the skill, it increases the practice, it increases the speed, it increases the production. It does not comes to the depreciation. So human and physical, both the capital are required into the 21st century. So in short, if we have to summarize that what is human capital is exactly. So human capital is exactly adding a stock. Stock of what? Stock of education, stock of skilled people, stock of literate people, stock of well-trained people in the country's population, out of country's population, that can be considered as human capital formation. Again, what can be considered as human capital formation? In a year, to add the total number of educated people, to add a more number of literate people, to add more number of skilled people, to add more number of experienced people, to add more number of literate people in country's development process is being considered as the human capital formation. Okay, so this is human capital formation, very much easy concept. But if we talk about the human capital formation, then there would be a certain ways to add the capital in country. Okay, the way we add the machines, we add the assets into the factory, into the industries. Like if anyone wants to add the physical capital, the simple is that they buy physical capital from the market, they add the stock into the factory and they raise the production. But in our country, where 140 crore or more than that people are living, in that country, if we want to add more number of human capital, if we want to add more number of skilled people, educated people, then what are the ways for it? What are the tools for it? So these are the examples for that. You can remember this in this manner: XXX, triple X, OMS. XXX OMS means X education, X health, X information, O on-job training, migration and study program. Revise it. X expenditure of the government on the education. If government expends the money more on education, more on schooling, more on higher studies, then lots of people will get the chance to make themselves literate. And if the people will be more literate, then country's human resource formation will be in more quantity. Expenditure on health. See, health expenses and the human capital formation have the direct relation. If the people would be more healthy, they are getting the good facilities into the governments or private hospitals. If the medical facilities are good, if the good medicines are available in the market, then people can take care of themselves. They can cure from the diseases very early. And if they get cure early, if they can come out of their problems or the physical illness early, then they can join again into the production activity. So expenditure on health can be also useful indirectly for the human capital formation. Expenditure on any such information for establishment of 4G towers or 5G towers, establishment of any other libraries, it can be considered as expenditure on information, this kind of expenses. So if these expenses will be more in the country, then people will get the more chances to learn by the internet, to learn by the libraries, to learn by the schools, to learn by the universities. This expenditure on the information, like if I am expensing only 2,000 rupees a year for the newspaper only, the newspaper is also a source of information. By reading the newspaper daily and by just 2,000 rupees expense only, I can have the lots of information throughout the year. On-job training. Lots of companies are providing the on-job trainings to the employees. They are providing the on-job trainings for what purpose? To increase the ability, capacity, to enhance their production capacity and productivity. They provide the on-job trainings. So on-job trainings is also a source of human capital formation. And on-job training is not just for the industries, whether it is agriculture. On agricultural land also, nowadays the government is giving the lots of trainings. Government is releasing the lots of training programs. With that, government is also organizing and government is also handling the institutes which gives the complete guidance to the people for their jobs, for their upliftment and etc. So this kind of on-job training, and yes, how can we forget? Migration can be also source. If people are living into such remote area where there is no facility of internet, where there is no facility of school, college or university or libraries, then they can come, they can start staying into the cities, they can connect with the world, they can go to school, they can go to universities, okay, they can go to the big companies, they can start learning from the people, they can start learning from the surrounding, they can start learning in the class, they can start learning in the libraries. Means whenever people migrates for the good reason from the rural to urban areas, that can be also a useful weapon for the human capital formation. And study programs, as I said, that government is launching many study programs every year. Special adult programs also government is launching every year or timely, like in Gujarat state adult literacy program was existed before so many years back, when the illiterate people of the village, if they are not having even the primary education and if they don't know to read and write at least one language, they can call up them in the evening time into the schools and they can at least learn how to read and how to write at least their mother language. So this type of study program timely government is releasing in many states, and that can be also the source of human capital. Now, after this human capital formation sources, XXXOMS, that is the second one. That second question is, if this way the government or the people can gain their knowledge, they can gain the human capital formation, then why India is facing the problem, or what are the problems of human capital formation, especially in our country? We will talk about the human capital formation problem just by looking at India's geographical and political and all the backgrounds. So why India is facing the problem for the development or for the gain of human capital formation? So the first is RBDIL. R means what? Raised population. The population is raising very rapidly in India. Population is a biggest cost for the country, and because of the high population it is impossible or it is somehow difficult to raise the human capital formation into the very rapid way. If we talk about the raise of population, it is about 2.25% a year. Means every year 1 crore 75 lakh kids or newborns, infants are getting birth in India, and already we are 140 crore. So this much big population, and to give individually skill enhancement programs, benefits, education, each and everything to each and everybody is something difficult for the country. That's why. The next one is brain drain. This is very much important. This can be asked individually also. Brain drain is what? The people, the smart people, the good people, the clever people studied in India, they complete their education, they complete their degrees, and after completing their degrees and education, some of the foreign countries are calling them by giving them certain things, like they gives them the good salary, they gives them the living facilities, they give them the transportation facilities, world tour, good salary packages, this type of attractions they provide to the Indian people, and then start moving them. So that is the main problem for the country like India, brain drain. And the deficient manpower, this could be by the government. Government must have to plan how much workforce or the manpower is there in the country. Like in the age of 15 to 64, which is considered as productive age group. In this age group, in this age group, 15 to 64 age group is known as what? Productive age group. This age group is particularly having the ability, mental or physical, to work for any such particular area, for any industrial, agriculture or service sector. So 15 to 64 years age people, how much population, like let's say for example, if the total population is 42 crore, 15 to 64 years age group, then out of 42 crore people, how many people are having the jobs? How many people are literate? How many people are not completely literate? This manpower planning must government would have to complete, but because of the high population, it is also something difficult to do this much, to complete this much manpower planning for the country. Next is job training in the primary sector, mainly where about 47% people, we have studied this already, about 47% people who are doing the agricultural activities in India. But out of 47% in agriculture, how many of them are trained, or how many of them are literate, or how many of them are educated or experienced? If we look out for that data, then that is very much less. So out of 47% people, especially in the primary sector, they don't have the sufficiency of the knowledge, they don't have the sufficiency of the skill. So the primary sector, agriculture sector, is lacking with the skill enhancement, it is lacking with the training, it is lacking with the guidance, so that should be provided. And the last one, low academic standard. If we talk about our Indian education system, then our Indian education system or primary, if we talk about primary level or if we talk about secondary, higher secondary or college level, then we are not that much believing into the practical knowledge. Okay, we just believe into the theoretical knowledge. It is also said that Indian education system produces the clerk. It does not produce the entrepreneur or the skilled people. That's why we have the lack of that kind of the syllabus in our education system. We must have to add that type of syllabus which gives the practical exposure, which gives the practical knowledge, or which expand the mental abilities of the people or of the student. If we add that and if we will improve the low academic standard into the higher academic standard, then it can be possible. But yes, recently it has been done by the government also, and NEP has already declared new education policies, and under that new education policies, government is already trying to add in lots of capacity building courses, lots of experience based courses, practical knowledge based courses. These things government is trying to add, and very soon our education system will be also more practical. Now the question is, how education is an essential element for the human resource development. Suppose if you have been asked this question in the exam, that how education is an essential element for the human resource development. So we can say that easily that education and human resource development or human capital formation, whatever the term you use, education and human resource development or human capital formation have a direct relation. If we have the more and the transparent education system from the villages to the urban areas, from the primary to higher secondary or primary to higher studies, then our education system will be able to give a more literate people or more skilled people to the country, which can be useful for the country's development in the second half or in the third half. So education and the human capital formation have a direct relation, and if more number of educated people will be there in the country, more number of literate people will be there in the country, then it will be useful for country to raise the GDP, to raise the to increase the development of the country, and in every aspect we will get the good citizens into the agriculture sector, whether it is industrial sector, whether it is service sector. We get the good employees, we get the good entrepreneurs, we get the good ideologies, we get the good and qualitative people who can be the helpful for the country's advancement in technology, in any other field also. So education can be considered as the powerful weapon for the human resource development. But if we talk about this, then this could be considered as most I already have written that how human capital formation or the education is very much important. So what are the objectives for the education? This is most time we must prepare this. What are the objectives of an education? So education gives the responsible citizen. It is indirectly the answer of it also. Education gives the responsible citizens. If educated people, if you talk about them, those people are very much responsible. I am not saying that everybody, but mostly the educated people consider themselves as a responsible citizen. Okay, before breaking any law, they think twice because they have studied, they have learned, maybe they have heard, maybe they have seen somewhere that if we are breaking the rule, then what would be the condition of the country, how society will suffer. Because of this all, we can get the good citizen. Development of science and technology, obviously. If we get the good number of educated people, then we can get the development of science and technology also. We get the we will get an advancement into the every such area. Like if we want to suppose if we want to transform the agriculture sector completely machine based, but if we don't have the literate people, then it would be impossible. But if we have the literate people, educated people, then development of science, maybe machinery, maybe asset, maybe aviation related, maybe in any other sector. Like right now the wars are going on surrounding in the world. So if we want to develop the good weapons by our own, then also the people, advanced people, skilled people, literate people who can develop the science and technology, who can helpful to science and technology, that kind of people are required. So this can be also useful. Facilitate the use of natural resources. See, if we talk about the people who are literate, who are educated, they can have the idea that which resource can be utilized for more years and which can be not. So I think, this is my opinion, that I think that the literate people are using the natural resources, whether it is petrochemical, gases, any such thing. They are using this all the resources in limit because they knows about the scarcities and all. They have these all ideas, so they can facilitate the natural resources. Also, expansion of mental abilities. If human resource will be there, then people's mental abilities will also expand. It is very much easy, help in the growth and development. Educated people will be helpful for GDP development and country's development also. Cultural standards can be also maintained. Illiterate people, we have seen that somehow or somewhere, maybe they are trying to breaking some cultural rules or cultural legacy. But if we talk about the literate people, they knows about the culture, they have learned about the culture, they have the idea about the culture, so they will try their best to maintain their cultural standard. We know some of the South region states, they are very much literate in India, and they are the only states who are maintaining their culture thoroughly. So this is the actual idea of this point. Develop the human personality, and if we want to develop any personality, if I talk about how to wear, what to wear, grooming, this whole, this can be also come into the good position by the education. And the last question, education is a challenging for India. Why? And this is also very much important for the quick revision. We will move to the point fast. Education is a challenging proposition in India, but why? What is the reasons for that? So high number of illiterate, we have already studied in the previous point. When India got independent, when India got independent, about 36 crore was the total population. And if I talk in this point, right now in India about 36 crore people are illiterate. About 73.44% people are literate. So means still in India we find the people who are illiterate. So that can be complete, and we must have to make them literate. Lack of vocationalization. I already talked about this point also. We don't have that much practical courses or skill based courses or practical exposure based courses in a syllabus or into a system. So that should be increased. And I added that also that NEP has started already in the vocationalization of the education and the gender biases. Yes, this was the reason, not right now completely, but before so many years back, the boys were completely allowed to go to school, universities, higher studies, where the girls were completely restricted. But right now in modern century, it is not a complete reason, but yes, in some of the regions in India, this is the cause. And low rural access level. Rural areas completely, I cannot say I am not in favor of this, because completely right now rural areas are not in that situation that they have the lower accessibility. But more of the villages right now are connected with the roads, with the electricity, with the internet. And yes, we have to say that there are few areas still in India which are remote area. They don't have the school, they don't have the internet facility, they don't have the road transportation. There are some areas, so those particular areas should be targeted to increase the education and the privatization. Because of privatization of the schooling and education, we have seen that many of the people or the parents they are completely habituate or they are forced to send them their children or their child to especially for the private education, private schools, private coachings, private universities even. Okay, so this takes the high expenses for the people, so this lowers the savings of the people. But yes, if the kids are studying well and if they come towards the bright future, if they pass out with the good marks, with the good score, then it will be a brighter opportunity for them also. And the last one, low government expenditure on the education. Actually, government is expensing about 45,000 crores. Central government is expensing 45,000 crore, which is actually 3% of the GDP of India. Is expensing behind the education. But still, if we compare the total population of India and if we compare the total expenses of government in India, this should be raised more. Because in some other segment, if you talk about USA, they are expensing about 12% of their GDP into the education. If you talk about the Norway, they are expensing about 10% of their GDP for the education. So according to or comparatively, this expense is less, so government must have to increase the expenses. No doubt government is running certain good skills like till the 14 years age group, 6 to 14 years age group. There is a compulsion of education. Primary education is compulsory till the age of 14 years. Okay, so nobody can take them take them as a labor, or they can go outside, or they can work anywhere. This cannot be done according to Indian rules for the education 6 to 14 years age. Okay, so this many things are there in the chapter, and this is easy chapter to prepare. Okay, quickly I have already added the questions which can be considered as the IMP questions. We'll be meeting in the next video with the next chapter very soon. Thank you all.